there's so many stories that come to mind that I think could be very helpful to younger climbers, even longer experienced climbers that may not run into similar situations. And I've been at this a long time, 50 years. And I think back to some of the stories that have happened to me, some of the incidents that have happened to me. And I want to relay some of these stories. Hopefully it'll spark a nerve in somebody out there. So here's a good story. It's about getting in a hurry, getting too anxious to get the job done. I'm going way back in time now. I'm going over 40 years ago. I had a big eucalyptus tree that we were taking down that had been topped in the past many times. So the resulting new growth on the tops of these giant eucalyptus trees were these long shoots. They were probably 6 to 8 inches in diameter and 30 to 40 feet tall. So these were not shoots that I wanted to climb. So I got up to the main area where the tree had been topped before, and what I was doing is I was making a long angle cut, almost making it to coming to a point on one side of the branch, and that kind of a cut enables the tree, the part that you're cutting, to shoot down, to the ground. It doesn't fall over. You cut, and then it drops straight down, and it spears. And that kind of a cut can be really, really helpful, especially if you want something to shoot down through the tree and not get hung up. Well, I was making all these cuts, and the ground crew was working a chipper. It was actually an old Chuck and Duck Haspelin chipper. And the chipper was probably, 100 feet away or so from the tree. And we were chipping away, and I was up in the tree, and the guys were chipping, and I was watching them, and I was waiting, but then I got a little bit impatient. And I thought, they're far enough away, I can make a few more cuts. So I looked up at the branch I was about ready to make, and I started my cut, and I wasn't paying attention to the ground. And I was cutting, and just as I cut it through and it slipped off, I looked down, and my buddy Jeff decided to run over and grab some more brush to keep chipping. I didn't anticipate this. As he was running over, this piece started rocketing down to the ground in a spear sharpened end, and wham! Missed him by about a foot. I felt so bad. It was my fault. Completely my fault. I don't know why I didn't wait. I got anxious. I got a little bit impatient. I wanted to get the job done. So the lesson here is don't get ahead of yourself. Look around you, make sure that everybody is on the exact same page. Because you know what? You can get somebody killed really fast. We sharpen our saws a lot. I like to keep them as close to 100% as I possibly can, because even if a saw is at only 90% sharp, that lack of crisp, sharp cutting is really noticeable, for me anyway. So here we are. This is the vise that I've got mounted to the top of the garbage can. If you watch that last video, then you'll see that I am actually using this thing, and I'm very, very happy with it. And the couple things that I find really, really useful. Well, A, I can put it in the shade and work over in the shade. And B, look at how nice that just rotates to a different position. B, I can look down on the sharpening that I'm working on. A lot of people say, well, I just put it on the bumper of my truck, or I've got to, I just go down over to a log and, I've got a stump vise. And, these are all good. But if you think about the very best way that you can sharpen a chainsaw is either in the shop on a vise, or in this case, a raised vise that puts you right at an angle where you can see clearly. I'm bent over the saw a little bit here, but I'm looking down upon it so I can see clearly every single tooth that I'm sharpening to. I'm getting it at the right angle. I'm getting a nice crisp edge all the way up to the point of the chain. Every chain tooth is going. And because it's at a good angle up there and a good height, it goes pretty fast. So you see, I'm only giving each tooth 1 or 2 strokes. The ones where I'm giving a couple of strokes, those are the ones that were boogered up just a little bit, but huge improvement. I cut down this dead mulberry tree today, and I counted the rings, started in the middle and I worked my way out. And interestingly, I counted 51 years on this tree. And the people that lived here, the guy that planted this tree sadly passed away a few years ago. He was a good friend of mine. And he's lived in this house for 47 years. So this tree was only 3 or 4 years old when he planted it. I want you to take note of how small this tree is. It's less than 12 inches. And a fruitless mulberry tree that is over 50 years old would normally have a trunk diameter of 26 to 32 inches across. This one was very small. Now ask yourself, why was this tree so small? But it didn't grow very big. I mean, look at this. This is only 12 inches across at the very most, plus this area here. So what I'm seeing, what I'm reading into this is this root right here is a girdling root. And the girdling root went up and strangled this tree, and it survived just fine for 48, 49 years or whatever until it just died last year. But I think that this finally cinched it off and caused some problems up there. But I'm going to go ahead, and I kept a couple of bowl blanks over here and I cut a piece out of there. I think I'm going to make something as a memorial for this, because Harvey planted this tree, and Harvey was an amazing woodworker. So his wife is still living here, and hopefully she'd appreciate it. Hold it, you can go grab it. All right. Now, this is a completely dead mulberry tree. It's been dead for a few years. And the wood is so brittle. There's no way I was going to climb up there. But I did put the ladder up there and set up the rope so that we could get it down. And I did make a preliminary chainsaw cut about half the way through. And Jorge said, I'll finish it with the pole saw. Because I certainly didn't want to be up there when he cut it through and it swung into the ladder. I didn't want to be on the ladder. I know, it's dead wood. It's almost there. Okay. I'll let you go over and grab it. This table is really solid. Harvey built this. Look at that. Look at how solid this thing is. That's what I was standing on. Hold it, slow. Okay, good.